Yo, good morning, everyone. Good morning. How y'all doing today? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday. You know what I mean? We about to get to it. I just wanted to spend a little time with you guys today. I know, I'm kind of doing these off the cuff now. But, I think about things and, as I think about things, I'm like, okay, I need to talk about that, right? So then I just pop up and talk about it. So that's kind of what happens here. So this is a hashtag Get Real Woke discussion on finding success as a Black-owned business. And I think that this is an important topic because, I talk a lot about shifting the mentality, but I want to talk about how this plays out in a business, right? And how it works as a business owner. I think this is really, really important. So, when you shift your mentality personally, then that also carries into running a business. And, when you don't shift your mentality in a personal setting, what happens is you carry a lot of bad habits and a lot of bad practices into your business. And that can be detrimental for you. I mean, that can kill you before you even get an opportunity to get started, right? So let's talk about that, right? Okay. As an African American community, in general, some of us have some habits that, are not good habits to have. We always joke in our community about, CP time. We're always on CP time, colored people time, right? We always talk about how, we're fashionably late, right? So let me give you some game about fashionably late and CP time in business, right? You can't be fashionably late or on CP time to a client meeting or a client discussion or a client pitch. You can't do that. Like if you're supposed to meet at 10 o'clock, right? You can't show up at 10:30. You can't even show up at 10:05. See, being a successful business owner is understanding that you have to respect your client's time just like and you have to respect your own time. And what you find in being in a business and being a business owner is that the same concepts that it takes to be a successful business owner are the same concepts that you got to have in your personal life. That's real. And what we have to understand in our community is, unfortunately, and I just want to talk about a little bit of history here, right? Unfortunately, through slavery, the oppressors, the slave owners were very clever about how they divided our community, divided our ethnicity, right? So they pit the light-skinned people against the dark-skinned people. The light-skinned people were generally in the house, and the dark-skinned people generally worked in the fields, etc., etc., etc. And it created a level of distrust amongst people of the same race, of the same ethnicity, right? So this was bred into us. This level of distrust was bred into us over time through harsh practices that were employed through slavery. The educated, the ones that could read a little bit, that learned to read, learned to write, and things like that, they felt that they were better than those that couldn't learn to read or write and didn't have the opportunity to learn to read and write, right? So this, of course, created a problem, right? And it created more division and more dissension in the African American community, which holds true today. There was a point in time after slavery that, the light-skinned were still pitting themselves against the darker skin. A lot of the, social organizations in the African American community had a rule that if you weren't as light as a brown paper bag and your hair wasn't as straight as a ruler, that, you couldn't become a part of these organizations. You couldn't become a part of these circles. You couldn't interact with these people, right? So there's always been a level of division and distrust in the African American community that was bred, through slave times, through what, the oppressors did to us to prevent us from unifying and overthrowing them, essentially, right? And so we have to be mindful of that because that exists even today, right? Studies show that, African Americans as in general are more distrusting of other African Americans than they are of other ethnic demographics. That's a reality, right? So not only do you have to contend with, the other ethnic demographics coming into our community and cannibalizing our community, right? You have to also deal with overcoming the distrust factor that is inherent in a lot of African Americans' mentalities because of the history of what we've been through and the divisive mechanisms that were put in place to make us this way. So we have to understand that. So that means that oftentimes, and this is something that I teach my children, you have to be better, smarter, faster, stronger, and wiser than everyone else. Not just every single black person. No, you have to be better, stronger, faster, wiser, and smarter than everyone that you stand toe to toe against. And that has to show not only in your work product, but in your work practices. Right? That's very important. What I find is, with black-owned businesses is that, we tend to have a habit of overstating and under-delivering. And what do I mean by that? What we tend to do is we want to gain clients so badly, we want to, find success so badly that, we overstate our capabilities. And we make a lot of promises and assertions that we can't exactly live up to. Part of being successful in business is being honest enough with yourself to understand exactly what it is that you can do and exactly what it is that you can't. What are the limitations of your skill set at the time that you started this business and are operating this business? You would be surprised, to be honest with you, especially in this time where we're trying to find unity, where we're trying to find community, where we're trying to find ways to support each other, where we're actually starting to grow at a measurable clip in the African American community. You would be surprised how many people, if you just keep it real, will come to your aid. When you start a business, especially if you're a new business owner, right? You've never run a business before, and you're just starting out, you're not going to know everything. You can't. It's impossible. You just simply can't. But if you're honest enough about what it is that you do know and what it is that you don't, you'd be surprised how many resources can make themselves available to you to help you bridge the gap and succeed. But you got to be honest first. And see, what you got to understand is, as a black-owned business, you are a representative of what people will assume about us as a whole in the black-owned business community, right? So if you know that in our community there is a general level of distrust amongst African Americans and a general level of division currently, right? If you do something that is not beneficial for the community, if you do something that, like, you overstate and underdeliver, like you're not on time, things of that nature, it doesn't just reflect poorly on your business. It reflects poorly on the overall African American mentality towards black-owned businesses. It makes that person that interacted with you is much more skeptical now about dealing with any sorts of black-owned businesses because of one bad experience. It's unfortunate, but the reality of the situation is one black-owned business can turn off a customer to a way to where they just don't want to deal with black-owned businesses, period. And I've seen this happen. I've heard of these stories. I've talked to people who have experienced these very things right here. So you don't only damage your business, you're damaging the overall ability for us to continue to support each other and come together as a community. And we have to be mindful of that, right? Everything you do, you never know who's watching. And here's the truth. In today's technological environment, in today's society, right? Guess what? With the way the internet is today, right? You have to understand that now Google and Google reviews are forever. The internet is forever. So check this out, right? If I do something in a business, if I say something, if my work product is not to the level that I have projected it that it's going to be at, and I underproduce to the work product, guess what's going to happen? Somebody's going to write a review about that. That review is going to be out there forever. And that damages your brand, that damages your credibility, that damages your business, and it damages your ability to be able to continue to generate new customers. The quality of your content is very important, but your peer reviews are just as important as the quality of your content and your work product. I cannot stress that enough. And you have to understand that if you are to be successful as a business owner, especially dealing in the African American community. You have to be very careful, and you have to make sure that what you're saying is what you're going to be able to do, and that you are punctual in your arrival to things. For example, some of the things that help me, right? I'm a very punctual person. If I know that I've got a client consult at 10 a.m., I'm in the Zoom at 9:50, chilling, waiting. Right? And yes, I've been doing what I do for almost 15 years now. Yes, very knowledgeable. Yes, I know what I'm doing. But that doesn't mean that I stop learning. Learning is a lifelong endeavor. It's a lifelong journey. There is no destination to learning. It's just a forever journey. And if you take knowledge in that respect and you make it a journey, a never-ending journey, you always learn new things. There's always ways to sharpen your craft, to be better at what you're doing, and continue to grow and develop in ways that'll make you better for your customer base, better for the products that you're distributing, able to distribute a better product, right? Things get better with time. You can't read experience. You can read as many books as you want to, but you can't read experience. And experience is what makes you a successful business owner over time. But if you start off poorly, if you kill yourself out of the gate by doing things that are not standard business practices, by like overstating and under delivering, like not being on time, like not finishing what you start, like not following through, things of this nature, right? You'll never get the opportunity to really grow and learn, because you'll be out of business long before you get the opportunity to really make your mark, make your stride, make your money, right? So I just wanted to come on and I wanted to spend some time talking about this, because I think this is really, really, really important. And I think that, shifting the mentality towards a more professional approach will go a long way toward instilling the confidence necessary within our community to feel comfortable, shopping black, investing in black businesses, and knowing that, the follow through is going to be there, the success is going to be there, the things that this business is saying they're actually going to be able to do. And let me tell you something. You do a great thing, right? You ask somebody for a review, they may or may not write it, and it may take them a long time to write the review when they do. But let me tell you something about doing something wrong. You do something bad to a client, they will make time out of their day for that. Like immediately, because they feel such a way about that. You think people will talk good about you? I promise you, man, when you do something bad to a client, you put out a bad product, you put out a bad service, they will tell everybody they know about you. That's just the nature of business. And you have to be mindful of these things. Be careful with what you say. Guard your words with caution. I find that it's better to understate what your performance and then show. You can show a person much better than you can tell. Even though I come on live a lot and I talk to you guys and I share a lot of insightful information, I put out a lot of content, hashtag for the free, you don't really see the full depth and breadth of my ability and the scope of my reach and what I can do until I show you, right? Until we're actually engaged in something that requires me to display that level of competence and command of subject matter, right? And I love that, because what it does for me is people come in expecting one thing, and they expect that's just going to be the greatest quality thing in the world, and it will be. But I bring so much more value, so much more added intangible value to the table that they were never expecting, that they always leave happier. I always exceed the expectations. And that's what you want to do with all of your clients. Be you putting out a product, be you putting out a service, you always want to ensure that you are over delivering based on what you said. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to take the time to share that with you guys today. As always, like, subscribe, follow, share, tell anyone that you can about this right here, this knowledge, because the more people that we have that get eyes on this content, the more people will be able to benefit, more people will be able to grow, and the more people will be able to find the kind of success that they're looking for. All right. So I appreciate y'all as always. Y'all have a great Tuesday. Let's be productive. Let's do something positive that's going to get us closer to the bag that we want to have. All right, y'all. I'll holla at you.